Welcome back, Ronin Renegades. I'm Lupine Fiasco, this is Daily HVY Gameplay, and I'm feeling somber. Heavy Hitters goes live today, February 2nd, and it has me thinking some dark thoughts about our boy. Since my first game against Victor, I've been considering the idea that HVY will not do well in the Heavy Hitters meta. What I've seen since then, be it the release of more spoilers or gameplay footage of new and returning heroes, or even my own experiences playing as KO, only confirms that belief. You know me, I've been a HVY faithful since Uprising. I love the playstyle, and I've had a lot of success in Flesh and Blood since picking up the deck. So it's with a heavy heart that I'm putting our boy down for the season and exploring greener pastures, pun intended. The issue as I see it comes down to this. Heavy Hitters made our even matchups worse without helping our bad matchups. I'll explain what I mean. Let's start with Guardian, or Bravo, against whom I think HVY had a 50-50 shot at beating in the Bright Lights meta. The class now includes Victor, against whom I think HVY has a 40-60 shot at best, and Betsy, on whom I have no opinion. Victor is a miserable matchup for HVY. Balance of Justice is a house, even compared to Crown of Providence. It's effectively worth 3 more life than COP on our biggest turns when it draws a card. The clash mechanic is horrendously awful to play against. Outside of a lucky non-attack action on top of Victor's deck, HVY will never win a clash. Victor blocks our damage while generating extra points of value at worst, or an entire extra card at best. Bravo may actually be slightly unfavored thanks to tenacity, but I don't think this compensates for Victor. Despite a few percentage points against the OG, I would still say Guardian is unfavored where it was even just a month ago. Next we have Brute, against whom I think HVY was largely even, with a slight loss in points to mid-range Rhinar. If the only new card Brute got this set was Apex Bonebreaker, that would be enough for me to move the class to unfavored. It's 3 life and Goliath Gauntlet rolled into 1, and I was already barely eking out wins against Leviah and Rhinar. But LSS didn't stop there. The class has a new Command and Conquer, new 3-block pumps, multiple new sources of Go Again, and an entirely new hero that is honestly HVY with better armor and better uses for action points. Imagine playing HVY with 6 CNC effects that synergize with your game plan, 4 more points of armor block, and an incredibly disruptive defensive option. Now imagine that hero also blocks better than you do and has multiple 2-card 8s and 9s. Congratulations, you're playing KO. The hero does more damage with less effort and throws disruption in as part of the brand, which HVY hasn't been able to do since the days of Belittle. HVY already didn't have an easy time against the Brute class, and it only got worse in Heavy Hitters. Finally, Warrior. If I'm being honest here, I don't think that Kasai or Olympia has the juice to make us sweat. Kasai is a strong mid-range deck with good offensive options when it's time to flip the switch, and Olympia is also here. That said, neither does the explosive damage they need to put us on the back foot early, and these matches should usually turn into value grabs that we can win if we can keep the pressure on. If those were the only warriors we had to contend with, I'd feel a lot better about HVY overall. No, the warriors I'm worried about are our 2 returning heroes, Dorinthia and Sir Bolton. Dorinthia, prior to Heavy Hitters, asked whether we had a sink below when she drew a glistening steel blade, and winning or losing largely came down to math. Her attack reactions versus our block value. Then LSS printed a new way for Doi to generate resources, a new 0-cost attack reaction that doesn't rely on reprise, and, say it with me now, more consistent Go Again. Bolton, meanwhile, may or may not have gotten any support in Heavy Hitters. I don't play the deck or keep up with content made about it, so I can't say either way. I'm speaking more towards what was already happening in the HVY Bolton matchup, which is that HVY very often couldn't outrace Bolton's ability to draw his combo. You could argue that HVY has Warmonger's Diplomacy and CNC to delay the combo, but Roger Bodie's battle-hardened Cincinnati list shows that Warband of Bologna lets Bolton combo off without the use of Snapdragon Scalers. This simple change in playstyle allows Bolton to start with 1 extra point of armor, just enough to allow for a full armor block of CNC. Is tenacity enough to get us a win when Bolton would otherwise live at 1 to combo off? It could be, but here's an example of heavy hitters failing to make our bad matchups significantly better. Touched very quickly on a bad matchup that got even worse. Let's talk about Prism. Prism hype is simmering below the surface these days, as it's been a minute since 3 Minaris was spoiled, but it's a very real threat. The density of poppers added to Guardian and Brute means that we won't see full Herald builds, but even Hybrid Prism got a nice boost against Phi with the new Go Again text on Angel's Glow. She won't have to work as hard or keep as many cards in hand to send big turns, and she can get more than just defensive value out of her Soraya Archangel of Erudition. Returning to our examination of our clunky, non-synergistic use of poppers in Phi, we either have a choice to reduce our deck's consistency in the hope of maybe 1 card blocking Herald of Erudition, or we hope to Art of War our way through 48 to 52 health. Rounding out our matchup spread is a number of popular heroes against whom tenacity fails to significantly improve our chances. Dash, Azalea, and Katsu jump out as heroes which range from unfavored to even, and which heavy hitters did absolutely nothing to stop. Dash is shaping up to be a very good choice in the new meta, and her density of power cards versus ours means that we still need to draw pretty well to eke out a win. Katsu is still the king of the aggro mirrors, and even he got a new toy with combo Art of War. Azalea rounds out my list of heroes that we need to draw our answer for, and while I'm not expecting Judge, Jury, and Executioner to make immediate waves, Red in the Ledger and Codex of Frailty are no better for us now than they were before. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you remember how galvanized I was during the Lexi meta. Despite being called a bad meta for Phi, I think a lot of Phi players felt that same righteous determination. Aside from having a 40-60 matchup against the uncontested best deck in the format, Phi had a very good spread into the rest of the field. And on top of that, many Lexis had no idea how to play around a Kodachi Mask of Momentum plan. Getting to skill diff or high roll Lexi was a fairly common occurrence, and a lot of Phi players were willing to try it. So what's the difference now? Between 2 bad metas for Phi, why was I so determined to take our boy to the top in one, but shelve him in the other? Simply put, I couldn't name 10 heroes that worried me in August 2023 like I just did. Now, it's entirely possible that this is an alarmist response made by someone who has a track record of misreading the meta. Tenacity is a very good card that Phi has access to, and I've put in good work with it already. I want to stress that my thoughts on the meta are purely contextual based on my own local scene. Top tables here in NorCal are populated by a notable Dorinthia, notable Guardian, and a handful of talented brutes, ninjas, and mechanologists. If you, on the other hand, play with a group of Dromais and Runeblades, Phi should absolutely look more appealing to you. I also want to stress that having a rogues gallery of 45-55 matchups is completely surmountable. Drawing and resolving a massive Art of War is enough to flip any aggro mirror on its head, and even in your 40-60 matchups, you're likely to win 4 times out of 10. I think Heavy Hitters has been a huge success so far, and I'm honestly happy to see so many people brewing with the new heroes. Bright Lights felt much more lackluster in that regard, and I much prefer to see new heroes having an immediate impact. If KO wasn't a part of the set, I could see myself working to crack the code and win out through this matchup spread with Phi. But considering that I've already been contemplating broadening my repertoire of heroes, and that KO is just so dang fun and effective, the call to jump ship for now is an easy one to make. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that even if you plan to remain a Phi faithful, that this has given you something to think about. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, I ask that you please consider subscribing to my channel. It's free and goes a long way towards supporting me. Battle Hardened Hartford takes place this Sunday and will be our first introduction to the new Classic Constructed meta, and you can all catch me back here Monday when I have to walk all this back after Phi wins the whole thing. Until then, take care.